We're familiar with the tale of Captain Herbert Sobel, a figure both revered and reviled by his own soldiers. Dubbed a devil in jumping boots and a petty tyrant, Sobel's stringent command earned him a notorious reputation among the ranks of the U.S. Army during World War II. While Easy Company flourished under his leadership, the mystery lingers. Why did his troops ultimately reject him? Delve into the tragic narrative of his life with us as we uncover the untold story behind Sobel's downfall. Let's get started. From his formative years at Culver Military Academy in Indiana to his tenure at the University of Illinois, Sobel's path was imbued with the ethos of discipline and duty. Following his graduation from the University of Illinois in 1933, Sobel's commitment to military service led him to enlist in the Army's Reserve Officer Corps. Even before the clouds of war engulfed the world, Sobel's sense of duty propelled him into the folds of the Military Police Corps, where he was stationed at Fort Riley in Kansas in March 1941. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would define his legacy. With the specter of conflict looming on the horizon, Sobel's resolve to contribute to the war effort only intensified. In a pivotal moment of decision, he volunteered to join the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division, stationed at Camp Toccoa. It was here that Sobel's leadership prowess would be put to the test as he assumed the mantle of Easy Company's commanding officer, becoming its very first member. Tasked with a Herculean endeavor, Sobel was entrusted with the monumental responsibility of transforming a motley crew of civilian volunteers into a formidable unit of airborne soldiers, poised to confront the perils of war on the front lines. This arduous undertaking required not only tactical acumen, but also a profound understanding of human psychology and the intricacies of military training. Under Sobel's command, Easy Company underwent a rigorous regimen of physical conditioning, weapons proficiency, and tactical training, all aimed at forging a cohesive and disciplined fighting force capable of meeting the challenges of combat with unwavering resolve. Despite the grueling nature of their preparations, Sobel's unwavering commitment to excellence and his relentless pursuit of perfection instilled a sense of pride and camaraderie within the ranks of Easy Company. From the outset, Sobel approached his responsibilities with a seriousness and dedication that set him apart from his peers, earning him a reputation as one of the strictest officers in the entire U.S. Army. With an ironclad resolve and an uncompromising adherence to discipline, Sobel instilled a culture of rigor and precision within Easy Company that bordered on legendary. His exacting standards left an indelible mark on the unit, shaping its ethos and forging a reputation for excellence that would endure throughout its storied history. Sobel's leadership style was marked by an uncompromising pursuit of excellence, earning him the moniker of the devil in jump boots among his soldiers. Under his command, Easy Company became synonymous with unparalleled proficiency and unwavering discipline, a testament to Sobel's relentless drive to mold his men into the finest soldiers in the U.S. Army. Richard Winters, a member of Easy Company, reflected on Sobel's leadership with a mixture of admiration and awe. Winters described Sobel's vision for Easy Company as one of unparalleled ambition, with Sobel setting the expectation that Easy would excel in every conceivable metric. Whether it was physical fitness, marksmanship, or tactical proficiency, Sobel demanded nothing short of perfection from his men. For Sobel, mediocrity was never an option. He believed in pushing his soldiers to their limits, knowing that only through relentless training and unwavering discipline could Easy Company achieve the level of readiness necessary for the trials that lay ahead. His unwavering commitment to excellence ensured that Easy Company would be prepared for whatever challenges awaited them on the battlefield. Herbert Sobel's determination to mold Easy Company into an elite fighting force knew no bounds. Recognizing that excellence is born from adversity, Sobel imposed a training regimen that pushed his men to their physical and mental limits, ensuring that they would be prepared for the trials of war that lay ahead. One of Sobel's most infamous training methods involved the arduous ascent up a 3-mile logging road that wound its way around the imposing Currahee Mountain. Despite his own lack of athleticism, Sobel led his men in this grueling exercise, serving as a living testament to the unwavering commitment he demanded from his soldiers. For the men of Easy Company, the sight of Sobel laboring alongside them up Currahee Mountain was a source of inspiration and motivation. Paratrooper Donald Malarkey reflected on Sobel's perseverance, noting that despite the difficulty of the task, Sobel never wavered, his determination fueled by a desire to push his men to new heights of excellence. With a stopwatch in hand, Sobel relentlessly pushed his men to exceed their own expectations, driving home the message that anything less than their absolute best was simply unacceptable. As Malarkey recalled, Sobel's unwavering dedication to pushing Easy Company beyond their limits filled his men with a sense of pride, knowing that they were being hardened for the challenges that lay ahead. In Sobel's unyielding pursuit of perfection, his men found not only a demanding taskmaster, but also a leader who was wholly invested in their success, despite the grumbling and complaints that inevitably accompanied their training. Sobel's methods ultimately instilled within Easy Company a sense of resilience and determination that would serve them well on the battlefield. Herbert Sobel's leadership style within Easy Company was characterized by a blend of exacting standards, relentless discipline, and, at times, seemingly arbitrary acts of authority. Despite the harshness of his methods and the occasional cruelty of his punishments, Sobel's impact on Easy Company's training and readiness was undeniable. Sobel's penchant for micromanagement and his obsession with detail manifested in his relentless scrutiny of his soldiers' appearance and conduct. No infraction, however minor, escaped his notice, whether it was a speck of lint on a uniform chevron or the presence of a rusty bayonet. Even something as seemingly innocuous as a soldier's name, if deemed unsuitable by Sobel, could incur his disapproval. For those who fell short of Sobel's exacting standards, the consequences were severe. Humiliating punishments, such as the infamous task of digging a 6-foot by 6-foot hole in the ground, only to fill it back in, were meted out with a degree of severity that bordered on vindictiveness. Yet, paradoxically, it was precisely this harshness that fostered a sense of unity and resilience within Easy Company. Despite the hardships and humiliations they endured under Sobel's command, his men acknowledged his efficacy as a training officer. Under Sobel's uncompromising tutelage, Easy Company honed its skills to a razor's edge, emerging as one of the most proficient units in the U.S. Army. Major Richard Winters, reflecting on Sobel's tenure, conceded that despite his flaws, Sobel played a pivotal role in the company's success. However, Sobel's reign as the commanding officer of Easy Company was not destined to last. As tensions within the unit reached a boiling point, fueled by resentment over Sobel's draconian leadership style, a series of incidents led to his eventual removal from command. While his contributions to Easy Company's training and readiness were undeniable, Sobel's abrasive personality and punitive approach ultimately proved unsustainable. As the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment prepared for their deployment to Europe, the shortcomings of Herbert Sobel as a field commander became increasingly apparent. While his dedication to training and preparation had laid a solid foundation for Easy Company, Sobel's deficiencies in key areas of battlefield leadership began to emerge as significant liabilities. One glaring weakness was Sobel's struggle with basic navigation skills, particularly in reading maps. In the fluid and unpredictable environment of combat, the ability to interpret terrain and navigate swiftly and accurately could mean the difference between success and failure. Sobel's shortcomings in this regard undermined his effectiveness as a leader, eroding the confidence of his men and exacerbating the challenges they faced on the battlefield. Moreover, Sobel's rigid and inflexible approach to command proved ill-suited to the dynamic nature of combat operations. When confronted with sudden changes in battlefield conditions or unexpected challenges, Sobel's response was often inadequate and reactive, failing to inspire confidence or rally his men effectively. Perhaps most damning was Sobel's inability to forge meaningful connections with his soldiers. While he demanded obedience and discipline, his leadership style lacked the empathy and camaraderie that fostered trust and loyalty among his men. Unlike some of his counterparts who cultivated strong bonds with their troops, Sobel remained aloof and distant, further alienating himself from the soldiers under his command. Despite these deficiencies, Major Richard Winters, himself a member of Easy Company, acknowledged Sobel's authority as their commander and remained committed to fulfilling his duties as a leader within the unit. However, as Easy Company matured into seasoned soldiers, Sobel's limitations became increasingly apparent, highlighting the growing disparity between his leadership style and the demands of combat. As tensions simmered within Easy Company, it was a series of events that ultimately brought matters to a head. The non-commissioned officers, NCOs, the backbone of the unit, reached a breaking point, their patience exhausted by Herbert Sobel's perceived ineptitude and the prospect of their men's lives being needlessly endangered on the battlefield. With a collective sense of duty to their soldiers and a deep-seated concern for their safety, the NCOs made a bold and unprecedented move. They surrendered their stripes and refused to serve under Sobel's command. This act of defiance was a seismic shift within Easy Company, signaling a profound loss of confidence in Sobel's leadership abilities. The NCOs, who had once been staunch supporters of discipline and order, now stood united in their belief that Sobel's shortcomings as a commander posed an unacceptable risk to the men under their care. Despite the gravity of their actions, the NCOs were met with swift reprisal. Sobel, clinging to the authority vested in him, punished the dissenting soldiers for their insubordination, determined to maintain control over Easy Company. However, the seeds of dissent had been sown, and the rift between Sobel and his men had become irreparable. Recognizing the untenable nature of the situation, higher command intervened, and Herbert Sobel was removed from leadership and reassigned to a training school in England. The reins of command were passed to First Lieutenant Thomas Meehan, who would steer Easy Company through the crucible of war that lay ahead. For Sobel, the humiliation of being stripped of command was a bitter pill to swallow. Despite the animosity that had festered between him and many of his soldiers, he could not escape the fact that he had played a significant role in shaping Easy Company into the formidable unit it had become. Though his leadership had been marred by controversy and conflict, Sobel's contributions to their training and preparation could not be denied. As Easy Company faced the crucible of combat, their mettle would be tested in some of the most grueling battles of World War II, including the pivotal Battle of the Bulge and the occupation of Hitler's infamous Eagle's Nest. The dichotomy between Herbert Sobel, the uncompromising military leader known to Easy Company, and the civilian man who returned to civilian life after the war, paints a complex portrait of a multifaceted individual. In the quiet streets of post-war Chicago, Sobel shed the mantle of authority and the rigors of military life to embrace a new role as a devoted husband and father. Returning to civilian life offered Sobel the opportunity to redefine himself outside the confines of the battlefield. He married, establishing a loving partnership characterized by tenderness and devotion. Sobel's commitment to his wife extended beyond mere words, as he made it a daily ritual to prepare breakfast for her, craft her favorite cocktail each evening, and ensure her comfort by warming her car during the cold winter mornings, a testament to his unwavering dedication and love. As a father, Sobel struck a balance between stern discipline and unwavering support, instilling in his three sons a sense of responsibility and determination. Despite the challenges he faced during his military career, Sobel prioritized his sons' education, recognizing it as the key to unlocking their potential and securing their future. With foresight and sacrifice, he diligently set aside his savings from his work as an accountant to fund their academic pursuits, believing fervently in the transformative power of education as the second most important aspect of life after family. As the years unfolded, the once tight-knit bonds within the Sobel family began to fray, with Herbert Sobel finding himself embroiled in a tumultuous relationship with his second son, Michael Sobel. Against the backdrop of the politically charged 1960s, Michael's burgeoning activism within left-wing circles in Berkeley, California, ignited a clash of ideologies that would drive a deep wedge between father and son. The ideological chasm between the conservative Herbert Sobel and his politically engaged son became an insurmountable barrier, straining their relationship to its breaking point. Their opposing worldviews, emblematic of the broader generational divide that characterized the era, served to exacerbate tensions and fuel resentment between them. Amidst this familial discord, Herbert Sobel continued to serve his country dutifully within the United States Army Reserve, steadily climbing the ranks until he attained the esteemed position of lieutenant colonel. However, despite his unwavering commitment to his military service, Sobel's personal life began to unravel. The rift between Sobel and his sons deepened over time, with the once close family drifting further apart. The strains of discord proved too great to bear, leading to the dissolution of Sobel's marriage and the fracturing of familial bonds that had once been the cornerstone of his existence. Despite his earlier devotion to his family, Sobel found himself increasingly estranged from his loved ones as the years passed. The once vibrant connections that had defined their relationships faded into distant memories as Sobel and his sons drifted further and further apart. The tragic trajectory of Herbert Sobel's life took a harrowing turn in 1970, when he made a desperate attempt to escape the torment that had come to define his existence. Gripped by despair and desolation, Sobel turned to the ultimate act of self-destruction, raising a small-caliber pistol and pulling the trigger. Though he miraculously survived the gunshot, Sobel emerged from the ordeal forever robbed of the gift of sight, his world reduced to an unending expanse of shadows and silence. For the next 17 years, Sobel inhabited a twilight existence, confined to the confines of a dilapidated and poorly maintained Veterans Affairs nursing home in Waukegan, Illinois. In this desolate sanctuary, he languished in the shadows of neglect and obscurity, his once proud spirit broken and his dreams shattered beyond repair. Stripped of his independence and dignity, Sobel's days became a blur of isolation and despair, his world confined to the suffocating embrace of institutional walls. Surrounded by the ghosts of his past and the echoes of his shattered dreams, he grappled with the specter of his own mortality, a silent witness to the relentless march of time. In the twilight of his existence, Sobel became a forgotten casualty of war, a tragic figure condemned to dwell in the shadows of neglect and indifference. When death finally came for him at the age of 75, it arrived not as a merciful release, but as a final indignity, a cruel reminder of the fragility of life and the futility of human suffering. In the years following Herbert Sobel's death, a remarkable transformation occurred within the realms of memory and perception, catalyzed by the release of Stephen E. Ambrose's seminal work, Band of Brothers, and the subsequent HBO miniseries that brought the gripping tale of Easy Company to the forefront of public consciousness. Amidst the cinematic reimagining of wartime heroism and sacrifice, a surprising advocate emerged from the shadows, a figure whose journey from estrangement to advocacy would come to redefine the legacy of his own father, Michael Sobel. For Michael, the journey toward reconciliation and redemption began as an unlikely odyssey, fraught with ambivalence and uncertainty. Faced with the daunting task of confronting the specter of his father's tarnished reputation, Michael found himself grappling with a complex tapestry of emotions, anguish, resentment, and a gnawing sense of injustice. Yet, as the pages of Ambrose's book and the images of the HBO series unfolded before him, Michael's perceptions began to shift, yielding to a newfound understanding and empathy for the man who had once been his father. Through the lens of history and the prism of storytelling, Michael came to recognize the intricacies of his father's character, the flaws, the virtues, and the profound complexities that defined him as both a soldier and a man. In the crucible of war, where the boundaries between heroism and humanity blur, Michael discovered the untold truths that lay buried beneath the veneer of his father's legacy. He unearthed the unspoken sacrifices, the silent struggles, and the quiet acts of courage that had eluded his understanding for so long. Michael Sobel's defense of his father, Herbert Sobel, struck a chord that resonated far beyond the confines of their fractured family dynamique. As he sought to challenge the prevailing narrative of incompetence and petulance that had come to define his father's legacy, Michael offered a compelling reinterpretation of Herbert Sobel's role within EC Company, one that transcended the confines of conventional wisdom and embraced the complexities of human nature. Central to Michael's defense was the assertion that his father's leadership style, however unorthodox and controversial, was rooted in a strategic understanding of human psychology and group dynamics. Far from being a manifestation of incompetence or malevolence, Herbert Sobel's approach to command was a calculated effort to forge Easy Company into an ironclad unit capable of withstanding the rigors of combat. By positioning himself as a figure of authority to be despised and reviled, Sobel created a crucible of adversity within which the bonds of camaraderie and resilience could be forged. Through the crucible of conflict and the trials of training, the men of Easy Company were galvanized into a cohesive and disciplined fighting force, united by a common adversary and fortified by a shared sense of purpose. Michael Sobel's defense of his father's legacy found validation in the testimonies of those who had served under him. Despite their initial animosity towards Sobel, many of the soldiers of Easy Company came to recognize the instrumental role he had played in their development as soldiers and as men. Donald Malarkey, in a poignant tribute to his former commander, acknowledged the profound impact Sobel had on their survival, acknowledging that Sobel's unorthodox methods may have been instrumental in keeping them alive amidst the chaos of war. Indeed, as the echoes of conflict faded and the passage of time brought clarity to their memories, the soldiers of Easy Company came to understand the true significance of Herbert Sobel's leadership. He may not have been the hero they had hoped for, but his legacy endured as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of adversity. What do you think about Herbert Sobel's life? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.